in paint, but I'm all right.
Wow, what are you painting, mate?
Bloody fence panels. I've done about 50. Always press record. I've done 15 of them. I've got another 2 to do. Honestly,
Wow.
I'm broken.
Sprayer,
that's
mate.
why.
Sprayer's
That's why.
future. Can you not afford a sprayer in your part of the country?
I have got the sprayer, but it's still bloody back breaking. So that's why I look a bag of rags.
We are just interrupting Love Your Garden to the next episode of the Reds Report, running podcast, going into season 10, the nearly completed, boys. Ian, Steve, with us, boys. Happy Easter and all that. Let's get straight back into it because it's been a bit of all sorts. Last week, Bolton. Nobody expected much. Absolutely blew them away, 4-1. Ian, lots of people saying, well, if this is what Hurricane can do, we should give him the job. It was a decent performance, wasn't it?
It was. Didn't see it coming. I think that was the quote I said to most people. And sort of living over this side, a few Bolton fans that I know, I said to them, we've got one of the worst home records in the EFL. It shouldn't be too problematic for you. And then they were crying in the bay after about 60 minutes, weren't they? So I just didn't see it coming. But yeah, it was great. It was great all round, and to score 4 as well was superb. It really was good.
One of the things I noticed, Steve, and listen, it's not down to one person or a new head coach, but Josh Earl was back in the frame. And that means that Corey O'Keefe, who's sort of been an ever present in the team, obviously had been dropped. Now we know we've vented criticism at many players when we felt that was due.
Have we? I didn't think we are. I thought we'd been very fair.
But the systems need to work, didn't it? The midfield of sort of Connell, Russell, and Phillips controlled majority of the match against Bolton, didn't they? It was a very steady ship, and people were willing to accept the ball. People were playing passes. We looked good in possession. We looked hungry out of possession, and it reminded us of Barnsley teams of seasons gone by almost.
2 things on that. It might be my old age. I didn't think Phillips played against Bolton.
Yeah.
Did he? I must have missed him again then, obviously. I thought Connell had a good game. I must have missed Phillips. Obviously, he was that important that I just never even noticed that he was there. I thought Russell played well, which surprised me no end. There's not a great deal I can say about that. I've slagged him off all season because he's been shite. And I still think he's shite, but he had a really good game and scored 2 good goals. So there's not really a great deal I can say, is there? I ought to really keep quiet.
Well, I suppose, Ian, when in that midfield you've got a Connell who's working hard, working well, you've got Russell next to him. Jallow started and gave a glimpse of what he is capable of. We'll talk. Listen, we'll talk about Leyton Orient in a couple of minutes. But against Bolton, I suppose when all those stars aligned, the midfield looked in control. The defence looked solid. McCarthy, Earl, Bland, and Roberts, and Jallow got on the ball, and Jallow got a couple of goals.
Yeah, I think it was. What's been quite pleasing is, Connell's had a couple of games out, and he come back and look better. And I know what Steve's saying about Phillips, but I think with the again being dropped and coming back in, the players do seem collectively to be behind Hurricane. I don't think you could.
He did play against Bolton. He did. I must have missed him.
But I think it's what's key is the players are playing for him, and we did see against Bolton what all the hype is about Jallow, that he knows where the net is, give him the chances. But yeah, typical young product. You're gonna get inconsistency until you probably play him regularly and he improves, because every player will be in and out like that at that age. But against Bolton, we saw how clinical he can be, and I think putting Humphreys on the left of the front 3 and Jallow on the right. That worked against Bolton, and it worked for 25, 30 minutes against Orient.
Yeah, it's the other. Before we go on to Orient, then Davis Keeler-Dunn nominated for League One Player of the Season. He was nominated last season, I believe, League Two for Mansfield. I mean, there's no doubt he's in a poor season, surrounded by a lot of underperformers. He has been the standout performer, or Steve, or have you got anybody else you wanted to throw in?
No, I've got to agree with that. Yes, I think some games, and not many. I'll be honest, he looked pretty ordinary, but that's purely down to he never got any service. I think last couple of games he has got some decent service. When he gets balls to run onto, balls into feet, it does look different gravy. Why we insist on knocking long balls up at times is just it's beyond me, but it always has been. So yeah, Keeler-Dunn will probably get, I would as well think, player at season. Personally, I still think, although he had last couple of games and then got sent off, Dejivne's been his most consistent player through season and his most solid. But you always go for glamour boys that can put ball in back at net, don't they? So, but yeah, I would have thought he'll be up there. I don't think he'll get League One Player at season. No, it'll probably be one at 11 from Birmingham or something like that.
Yesterday, then we have to talk about Orient. If anybody wants to know or wants to have a chat with us about what the Barnsley season 24-25 has been like, would it be fair to say just watch the 90 minutes away at Orient? Because at times we looked unbeatable. I would say unrecognisable.
Yeah.
And then second half, you know what's going to happen with the Richie Wellens team. They're going to come out. They're going to come at you. They have got threats that we were aware of. And then it was nothing but individual errors, poor play, everything that was so good about the first half, you forgot about, because second half, credit where credit's due, when Hourihane saying he hated the way Barnsley played, or the way the team played in the second half. I mean, that gives you a little bit of optimism, Steve, that maybe he's probably the right man for the job, because he probably cares more than, a German manager from the third division that once had success in Lithuania in an under-11s tournament or something.
As you well know, I didn't watch the match yesterday. First one I missed, as I had far more important things to do. Yes, I did win at my golf game. Thanks very much for asking. I'm sure everybody will be really impressed with that. I was impressed. Didn't even think I would. But anyway, that's another story. Obviously, they announced Turan yesterday morning. For me, and I've said it before, it were nailed on. I think because he's a cheaper option. It's obvious it's cheaper option. He's already here, so it always goes to appease some fans as well. I think he's still got to prove himself in a lot of different ways. However, I'm not disappointed that he's got the job. I'm glad he has in a certain way. However, going forward, we have got to have a clear out of players. I think he's got to change his backroom staff without a shadow of a doubt, such as your Devaney's, etc. Need to go. He needs to either bring his own people in. I'd like to see him bring in somebody with some experience, some league experience, an older guy that he could learn off, with it being his first managerial post. But I'm not disappointed with the appointment. It's just where the club now goes, as in backing him, because we haven't backed his last 3 or 4 managers. They've got to back him, because otherwise we'll be looking at League Two next season.
I sent a GIF or a picture earlier on in our WhatsApp group. A Up and Down, one of the fanzines, put back the cheaper option. And I suppose they've got a valid point. The 2 probably most successful Barnsley managers in the history of the club are Danny Wilson, who was a player. He came as a player, didn't he? And then sort of made his way. And of course, the other one is our Paul, 2016, Wembley twice. I know he took over from Lee Johnson halfway during that period, but Heckingbottom and Wilson, both sort of ex-players. I think you've put it right. I don't think anybody's disappointed. It's interesting to see, though, how they back him and what freedom he has, because I agree. I think you need to look at the coaching. There's that many. It needs to be a clear group of focused individuals, hopefully as focused as Hurricane is, Ian.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can't argue with what A Up and Down have said. It's you just can't argue with it, can you? I think when he came, we all thought he's going to get the job, because if it don't work with Clark, he'll step up, and that's what's happened. He's not proven. That's the big worry. However, the big key, because everybody will get, whoever we did sign, who'd have got behind them. We went for Clark, who was allegedly proven at this level, who could get promotions, and it didn't work. So why not go for somebody who knows the club inside out? The issue is he signed this 2-year with a potential to be a 3-year contract. We've not given a manager 2 years since 2008, I think. So we need to have that reset where we turn around and say, if you put in all your faith in this man, you've got to give him more than one transfer window, because we know the January window's a load of rubbish. You can't just give him a summer window and then expect him, if he's not in the playoff picture by March, to sack him again and start again. We can't. We did it with Collins. We've done it with Clark. We can't do it with Hurricane. You've got to give him time to get his stamp on the squad. Give him a couple of transfer windows and let him build. Excuse me, while the dog goes daft. You've got to give him time, haven't you? You've got to let him build. You can't be sacking him in a few months' time when it's not working.
Is it fair to say, Steve, that actually the club appointing him maybe signals a change in approach, and maybe this is the reset button and saying we're getting a young, inexperienced manager or head coach, maybe, but with a giant, huge passion for the club, and actually giving him the job indicates that we're not going to say we need championship by the end of next season, but we're building for the future. Or is that maybe asking too much from our board? I mean,
exactly. No, it's a load of rubbish. I think the cheap option is definitely in their minds, because he's already here under contract. They'll just pay him a little bit more for stepping up. I think, obviously, with the announcement of the early bird season tickets, that again is part of it. You know, we'll settle around on. A lot of people still think sunshine's out of his backside, so they'll probably renew the season tickets because he's got the manager's job. I don't want to be too cynical about it, because, as I say, I'm not disappointed the fact that he's got it. However, knowing our board as we do, if you seem to think that now they're going to put £4 or £5 million behind him so he can get some decent players in by next season, I think you're kidding yourself. I'm not saying they won't put a bit of money in, but don't think they're going to spend millions to get decent players. We'll still be looking bargain basement, spreadsheet and all that sort of stuff. Whether it were Unaran or whether they brought bloody Carlo Ancelotti in, it's still going to be the same business model.
Yeah. I don't want to dwell. We've got a couple of matches left at home this week, and obviously the end of the season is coming near. We are hoping to speak to our head coach by the end of the week. Message from him that's being organised through the club. So hopefully, we can put some of these questions to, because we like Conor. I didn't tell you this, boys. But because it's the end of the season, and as kids you used to play like Kiss, Marry and Kill. And you have like 3 girls or women.
What is this, a Dutch thing?
It must be, mustn't it? Kiss.
Must be a Dutch.
What was this kissing lark?
What's going on?
So,
you know what they're like, the Dutch? They're very easy going.
Oh, very easy going on.
He's my brother and also my lover. I'm going to go through the team, and I want you both to say whether you want to keep the player as a first team option, get rid, or keep him as a squad player, because some of these
no kissing involved.
No kissing. So the first one is Jackson Smith.
I'm not seen enough of him, to be honest.
Squad, probably.
Yeah, squad.
Kieran Flavel.
I'd keep.
Squad.
Barry Cotter.
Keep.
Mark Roberts. That should be hopefully an easy one.
Well,
You see, the thing with Roberts is I will say squad. I want to keep him, but it's still squad because I don't think now he can do what he used to do.
He's only going to get slower. I think he'd be great in a season that's going to be 50 odd games or whatever with cups and stuff. Yes, I'd have him in the squad, but we need to sort this defence out. That's got to be Hurricanes' number one thing, and we've got to bring some new blood in.
Right, so we keep it in. Is the answer then maybe Donovan Pines?
No.
He can go. No.
Bless him.
Mal de Chevigny.
Keep.
Yes, keep.
Corey O'Keefe.
Squad.
Get shut for me.
Georgie Gent.
Keep.
Well, keep. Yeah, keep him fit. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Conor McCarthy.
Shut.
No,
Get rid.
Josh Earl.
Keep.
Yeah. Keep. We look better when he's in the team.
Yeah.
John Russell.
Go.
I'll drive car.
I'll
Adam
put petrol in. Who?
I don't know what you mean. I'm not seeing him for weeks.
He can go for me.
Oh, get shut. Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Josh Benson.
Go.
Get shut.
Neil Ferrugia.
Keep.
Yeah.
Squad. Yeah, squad.
Yeah, squad.
I'd rather see Gent at left back than Ferrugia,
Yes.
but I think we need some cover there anyway. And Earl's not answer if he's playing a left-hand side, left back, left wing back.
I'm not going to include some of the academy players because I don't think that they're not seen enough of them. So the next one, it should be a straightforward one, probably the most straightforward one of the afternoon. Davis Keeler-Dunn.
Keep, but I just hope the club don't see pound signs and selling.
That's going to be the thing. That'll be the thing if anybody comes in for
making a profit.
That's his only selling option there. But definitely keep.
Luca Connell.
Keep.
Kelechi Nwakali.
I'd keep. I don't think we play him enough.
No.
Okay. Fabio Jallo.
Keep.
Squad.
Ooh.
Squad. Not yet.
He needs to come on. They need to move him on, and then we need to know whether.
I'm not convinced 90 minutes.
Is there a player in there? Yeah. No, is there a player in there?
He needs to get back to proper fitness. He needs to lose a stone for a start because I still think he looks overweight, even though he's doing stuff that he can do. I think he can be the potential's there to be a lot better, but he needs proper coaching.
The next two we've not seen enough, but I will ask from the 40 seconds each you have seen. Jonathan Lewis.
I don't know.
Squad possibly if there's Summit in there, yeah.
Clement Rodriguez.
No, send him back. Put him back on boat.
Max Matters.
Go.
Put him on boat with Rodriguez.
And then the last one is Stephen Humphries.
Keep.
Yeah. Stephen Humphries, not surprised. He's, not normally, quite often you have that new manager bounce. A new head coach comes in or somebody takes over. And I don't know what it is about Stephen Humphries. I messaged yesterday and I said, he looks like the striker we wanted in January. And I mean, long spells, he was nowhere near, was he? He was 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. It was only because of injury he started playing. I know the track record so far for Hurricanes not great, but one thing that Ian mentioned before we went live, we scored 7 goals in the last 2 games. And I suppose if you look at the strike force for next, that's where we need to look then, isn't it? Because if Wattis is going and Rodriguez and Lewis, we don't know. There's only really Stephen Humphries up there and maybe Keeler-Dunn, although would you prefer to see Keeler-Dunn maybe a little bit further down the pitch in that number 10 role maybe? Or
I'd still like to see him in a number 10 because to me, I would just, a bit like what they used to do with Glenn Hoddle back in the day. That's a football pitch. Go and play where you want to play. And just let him run at field. Because I think that's the sort of player he could be.
But it shows you, doesn't it? Because like Steve's been saying for a few weeks now, you give players like Humphries a bit of a decent ball, a decent service, and do something with it, and in the right areas, he knows where the net is, and he's clearly motivated. He's keeping himself. He's looking fit. He gets on. He clearly has a good on-pitch relationship with Keeler Dunn. It makes such a difference. And I said that first 25 minutes yesterday, I saw players wanting the ball, receiving the ball, quick passing. We were knocking 20, 25 passes together. It was only a month ago. Most of them players didn't want the ball, didn't know what to do with the ball, and looked scared stiff because the confidence were low. So if anything, you take from what Hurricane's doing, these players now, they can pass a ball and pass it in the right direction. And when Humphries is receiving it in good areas, he's causing chaos for the opposition. So
are we not playing this game for coaching staff then?
Are we what?
Are we not playing this game for coaching staff? Are we just doing it for players?
Well, no. Listen, I'll go through the coaching staff. Conor Horan.
Yeah, go on then. Let's see what it can do.
All right. John Stead.
See, that's a funny one. That one. Yeah. With Stead, I thought he would have gone with Collins when Collins went.
Yeah, I thought that.
But is he
bringing
any value? Is he bringing any value to the team? This is what I think about coaches. This is why I'm on such a downer with Devaney. I just don't see any value that he brings.
It surprised me because I read yesterday when I was sort of looking at it. John Stead is an assistant coach, but Devaney is an assistant head coach. So I don't even know what the difference in that means. I genuinely thought sometimes you have a head coach, you have one or two assistants, you tend to have a fitness bloke and a goalkeeping coach, and that's it. But for us, we've got Stead, Devaney, Harben, then we've got the goalkeeping coach. So there is quite a few, isn't there? And I know it's the link with some of them are ex-players of ours and blah blah blah. But I just feel it needs a bit of streamlining because you've got to say. No matter what, and I know a few of these were part of the team where we were very underwhelming, underperforming, not nice to watch. Then, the coach gets sacked or they part ways. Hurricane is given the job or takes the reins. Some of the players suddenly start showing maybe the reason why we got them in the first place. Was it down to the coaching then maybe? Or is it a personality clash? I mean, we'll never know, will we? I mean...
No, but I think one thing with these, like the defensive issues now, I don't think I think we're struggling to coach those errors out of these players. So is that a problem that the players need replacing, or is it that the coaching's not good enough? Because under Clark, we were making these errors, and we're still making these errors now, right at the end of the season. So, got to work out: is it the coaching that's not good enough, and they're not coaching these players better, or is it the players aren't good enough?
Well, look, if you look at players, if you look at this season, tell me a player that's improved, skill-wise, or with what he's actually doing in a match, because I can't say I'm seeing anything to say that he's getting better. Do you know what I mean? I look at somebody, you look at them and you think,
yeah, I think the only ones had potential before they got injured were Gent and Cotter were getting better, but then obviously injuries curtailed that. But there's not many. I agree with you. There's not many at all.
And to me, that is where the fault lies. If you've got a shite teacher, you're not going to learn, I'll tell you. But I do think on the flip side to that, a couple of players that we have got, I think are bigger than they think they're bigger than they are. They think they're better than they are. Yeah. And it's them sort of players we need to get shut on. We need somebody who wants to play for shirt, not just to progress, I suppose, in that respect.
And then same question for you both to round the episode off. Season's gone. Like, we're not playing for anything. So now it's down for the players, isn't it? To show that they want to be here. They want to earn the money. They have as much pride in the shirt as what Hurricane has. Yesterday, and I was guilty of this, not on social media, probably more than our WhatsApp group, that the three players that got most, I wouldn't say abuse, but negativity on social media were Jello, Bland and Flavel. 3 academy graduates that for one reason or the other They find themselves in the team on merit. You've got to say. I'll go for it. My personal opinion is you've got to stick with him, especially Bland, especially Flavel. I think you've got to stick with him. Flavel, because he's our goalkeeper, so he can be an option for next year, can't he? And they might make an occasional mistake and things go wrong, but with nothing left to play for, they need to go through that cycle to get better, don't they? By not taking them off, they're not going to get any better, are they? So is this not exactly the right time in these last 3-4 matches to play them? And maybe they'll make a mistake, but they'll be better for it in the future. Or do we say, no, that's absolute nonsense, Carlo. They're not good enough. Haul them off and put somebody else on. Steve?
Jesus Christ, if they're not good enough, I can name you another 8 players that should have been hauled off a damn site earlier than this.
Correct.
People who are slagging them off. The young kids, all right, Jallo. I've had a go at Jallo because I think he's still a bit overweight, and I still think he needs to come back properly from his injury. Fair enough. Bland, young lad, he's had some good games, so he's had enough game. So what? Flavel's looked best keeper we've had all season, but he's made a few mistakes. So what? These people that come straight out and slag them after they've laced the boots up wrong way, they want to give their heads a wobble. Why haven't they not been having a go at fucking Connell and Russell and Phillips and Waters when they've been shit all the way through? Roberts again. It does my train. These people, they jump on the backs after 1 or 2 bad games. Dejivny, get him in, get him sold. Are you fucking real? He's been best defender consistently all season. Yeah. And these are people that pretend to know about football. I know fuck all about football, but I can watch a game. I can see what's going off. Boils my piss.
I'll tell you what. I can't disagree with any of that. I think what you've just said, word for word, is absolutely bang on. I think you look at, you've got to look at the keeper, the slightest mistake, and it's highlighted. But I've seen him make some cracking saves. And he's a young lad, and you got to remember it. He's got a shit defence in front of him that's leaking. Well, how do you think he felt in second half when they're just coming at him constantly? When you've got experienced players in Phillips, Connell, Roberts, who did nothing to stem that flow, and yet you criticise the poor lad who's between the sticks. I think there's enough in those 3 players that we've seen at the moment that they deserve the next few games till the end of the season and then a full pre-season.
Yeah, true.
Well, the Reds are back in action Easter Monday, 3:00 kickoff. If you're going, look on our socials, we've reposted it. As you probably know, Red or Alan Smith, one of the co-presenters at Red All Over. So for those that don't know, the Reds Report will be going for some time. We started it on Dern FM, Chris, myself and Joe. And then the club asked Chris and myself to go and work for them. And then Alan came in and they made Red All Over with Joe and everybody else. Things not going well with Alan. He had a cancer scare and an operation and things not looking great. So I think they're doing a minute standing applause. I think about 3 minutes. Hopefully Alan will be there. But from us three, I know, Steve, we've done the summer ones with them combined. Fine with them. Some people think that it's almost like a bit of a competition, but actually I like listening every now and then to Red All Over. I know they always comment on ours anyway. So, as Barnsley fans, obviously we stand fully behind Alan and we hope that, he gets some good news soon. But he's fighting cancer, but I messaged him the other day and I said, I think every single Barnsley fan is fully behind you, and obviously that includes us. So if you're going to Oakwell, I think it's on the 3rd minute, get behind it, get behind the Reds.
Question.
Yeah.
Why 3rd minute?
I ain't got a clue.
I just wondered why 3rd minute, that were all.
I'm just looking on social media.
I'm sure somebody will tell me.
Maybe because if you do it in the 50th, half the stadium's gone.
While we're still drawing. Well, hopefully while we're still drawing, then in 3rd minute.
Let's have a look. Yeah. On Monday afternoon during the game against Peterborough, we were asking all fans to join us in a minute's applause on 3 minutes to show Alan he's not alone and that the entire Barnsley family is right behind him. So, 3 minutes past 3. I don't know. I don't know why they chose that, but we will be there, boys. We will be getting ready for our final episode. We'll see how we are next week and what's happening. Keep you up to date when we can speak to Conor Horahan and ask him about his plans and what his Barnsley team next season will look like. What type of football and what we can look forward to. We'll get Adam Oxley involved again at the end of the season for our end of season presentation of the worst player, the best dressed, most underperforming. That's a big category this year. That one.
Are we having to pay him again then? Are we going to have to pay him again to come on?
Plans for the rest of the Easter weekend, Ian? I know what you're doing.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I've got a few more fence panels and myself to spray in a lovely slate grey. And then I'm having some beers at tea time. So I'll be fast asleep by about 9.
Very good.
And then we'll finish a few bits off. But I'll get some brownie points one off the missus, so can't grumble, can I?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Could be a big night, mate. Could be a big night.
I didn't mean like that.
You did? Don't lie. We're not all thick.
Are you golfing later?
Not today, mate. Playing tomorrow. Going out for a meal tonight. If anybody's been to Marmaris Turkish restaurant on London Road in Sheffield, is it any good? Because that's where I'm going tonight.
They'll start calling you bloody Rory. The amount of golf you play.
Well, I'm not that. Bloody hell, I was shocking. I won yesterday. I was shocking on Thursday. But anyway. Hey, when you pay money, you pay for bloody memberships, you've got to try and play as much as you want.
Yeah.
Crazy times, mate. Crazy times. Yes, Marmaris Turkish restaurant tonight. So that should be interesting.
Very nice.
So I'm either playing golf at morning or spending morning sat on bog. With my arse on fire.
And I'm sure if it's a nice meal, that could be a potential new sponsor for next season.
Hey, Andrex.
To the Reds Report. And don't forget to get behind Al 3 minutes on. So 3 minutes past 3 on Easter Monday. And we'll be back next